Ariana was never one for the ordinary. She craved adventure. Her spirit yearned for the unknown. From a young age, she devoured tales of far-off lands. She dreamt of encountering the wild. Her heart belonged to the untamed corners of the world. She pored over maps, tracing her fingers across continents. She imagined herself scaling mountains and traversing deserts. The call of the wild resonated deep within her soul. It was a siren song she couldn't ignore. Among her many aspirations, one stood out: to witness the majestic mountain gorillas in their natural habitat. These gentle giants held a particular fascination for her. Their intelligence and social bonds captivated her imagination. Ariana knew she had to see them for herself. She felt a profound connection to these creatures, even from a distance. She yearned to experience their presence in the wild, to witness their power and grace firsthand. The air was thick with anticipation as Ariana's plane touched down in Uganda. The vibrant energy of Africa pulsed around her. Excitement surged through her veins. This was it, the moment she had been dreaming of. She had arrived at the edge of the Bwindi impenetrable forest, a realm of ancient trees and swirling mist. This emerald wilderness was home to the mountain gorillas she longed to encounter. The forest whispered promises of adventure. Ariana felt a sense of awe as she gazed into the depths of the jungle. The air was alive with the sounds of unseen creatures. Sunlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting an ethereal glow on the forest floor. The scent of damp earth and exotic blooms filled her nostrils. This was a place of mystery and wonder, a place where time seemed to stand still. Ariana knew that within this Emerald Labyrinth, an experience of a lifetime awaited her. She was ready to answer the call of the wild. The early morning mist clung to the forest as Ariana set off with her group and their experienced guides. Excitement crackled in the air, their mission to track a family of mountain gorillas. The trail wound its way through the dense undergrowth. Vines reached out like welcoming arms. The air hummed with the drone of insects. Each step took them deeper into the heart of the forest. The guides, with their keen eyes and intimate knowledge of the terrain, led the way. They pointed out signs of gorilla activity: fresh tracks in the mud, a bent sapling, a scattering of dung. The tension mounted with every passing moment. Then a hush fell over the group. A low rumble echoed through the trees. The guides exchanged knowing glances. They had found them. The gorillas were close. Ariana's heart pounded with anticipation. There they were, a family of mountain gorillas lounging amongst the foliage, a magnificent silverback, his fur shimmering in the dappled sunlight. A playful youngster tumbled with its siblings. A mother cradled her infant close. Ariana watched in awe, mesmerized by their every move. These creatures exuded an aura of power and serenity. She felt a profound connection to them, a sense of kinship she couldn't explain. Suddenly, a pair of intense eyes met Ariana's. A young female gorilla, her brow furrowed with concern, stared directly at her. Then, to everyone's astonishment, the gorilla began to move towards Ariana. The guides tensed, their hands hovering over their machetes, but there was something in the gorilla's demeanor that gave them pause. It wasn't aggression they sensed, but something else, something akin to desperation. Section 5. Frozen in fear. The guides react. Ariana's breath caught in her throat. The gorilla was just a few feet away now, its massive frame casting a long shadow over her. She could feel its hot breath on her skin. Her instinct screamed at her to run. The guides, veterans of countless gorilla encounters, had never seen anything like it. They whispered urgently amongst themselves, their faces etched with concern. They knew they had to act quickly, but how? "Stay calm," one of the guides muttered, his voice barely a whisper. "Don't make any sudden movements." He knew that any sign of aggression could be misconstrued by the gorilla. Ariana stood frozen, her gaze locked on the approaching gorilla. Time seemed to slow to a crawl. She could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. What did the gorilla want from her? Section 6. A journey into the unknown following the silverback's gaze. To Ariana's surprise, the gorilla didn't attack. Instead, it gently touched her hand with its leathery fingers. There was an urgency in its touch, a plea for help that transcended language. The gorilla then turned and began to walk deeper into the forest. It paused, glancing back at Ariana as if urging her to follow. After a moment of stunned silence, one of the guides nodded, his eyes wide with apprehension. "Let's go," he whispered, "but stay close and be ready for anything." With a mixture of fear and curiosity, Ariana followed the gorilla, her heart pounding in her chest. The gorilla led her through a labyrinth of ancient trees and tangled vines. The air grew thick with humidity, the forest floor carpeted in damp leaves. The sounds of the gorilla family faded behind them. They were heading deeper into the unknown. Section 7. A hidden haven, the heart of the jungle. After what felt like an eternity, the gorilla led Ariana into a hidden clearing bathed in soft, dappled sunlight. A sense of peace pervaded the space, a stark contrast to the dense jungle surrounding them. In the center of the clearing lay another gorilla, its chest rising and falling with labored breaths. This one was much smaller, its fur matted and dull. Ariana's heart sank as she realized it was a baby, its eyes glazed with pain. The mother gorilla, her face etched with worry, gently nudged her baby, but it only whimpered softly. It was clear that the baby was sick, its life hanging precariously in the balance. Ariana, her fear momentarily forgotten, felt a surge of compassion for the stricken creature. She knew she had to do something, anything to help, but what could she do? She was just a visitor in this wild and unforgiving world. Section 8. A Mother's Hope. Ariana's gentle touch. As if reading her thoughts, the mother gorilla gently pushed her baby towards Ariana. Her eyes, filled with a mixture of hope and desperation, seemed to plead with Ariana to work her human magic. Remembering her basic first aid training, Ariana cautiously approached the baby gorilla. Its tiny chest heaved with each shallow breath. She could feel the heat radiating from its feverish body. With gentle hands, she checked for any obvious injuries. Finding none, she reached into her backpack and retrieved a small bottle of water and a clean cloth. Dipping the cloth in the water, she carefully cleaned the baby's face and body, trying to cool its burning skin. The mother gorilla watched Ariana's every move with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. But there was no mistaking the trust in her eyes. A silent agreement had been forged between these two mothers, united by their love for their children. Section 9. An Unspoken Bond. Trust in the Wilderness. As Ariana tended to the baby gorilla, she felt a profound connection to the creature and its mother. In that moment, all barriers of language and species seemed to dissolve. There was only a shared sense of urgency and compassion. The mother gorilla, sensing Ariana's genuine desire to help, allowed her to continue her ministrations. She even gently nudged her baby closer to Ariana, as if encouraging her to do more. Time seemed to stand still in that hidden clearing. The only sounds were the gentle rustling of leaves and the soft murmurs of the two mothers, their voices filled with concern and hope. An unspoken bond of trust had formed between the human and the gorilla. In this wild and unpredictable world, they had found common ground in their shared love and concern for their young. As Section 10. Farewell, my friend. A bittersweet departure. After what seemed like an eternity, the baby gorilla stirred. Its breathing, though still shallow, became more regular. A faint flicker of life returned to its eyes. The mother gorilla, overcome with relief, let out a soft rumble of contentment. She gently gathered her baby in her arms and rose to her feet. She stood there for a moment, gazing at Ariana with an expression of profound gratitude. Then, with a soft grunt, she turned and melted back into the dense undergrowth. Ariana watched them go, her heart filled with a mixture of sadness and elation. She had witnessed a side of nature few humans ever get to see. She had been touched by the raw power of a mother's love, a love that transcended species and circumstance. The encounter had changed her forever. She knew that she would carry this experience with her always, a reminder of the interconnectedness of all living things. Section 11. A Life Transformed, The Echoes of the Jungle. Ariana eventually found her way back to her group, her mind still reeling from her extraordinary encounter. Words seemed inadequate to describe what she had just experienced. The guides listened intently as she recounted her tale, their faces a mixture of disbelief and awe. They had never heard of a gorilla behaving in such a way towards a human. Ariana's experience was truly unprecedented. As she left the windy, impenetrable forest behind, Ariana knew that a part of her would always remain in that emerald embrace. The memory of the gorilla mother's trust, the feel of the baby gorilla's fragile body in her hands, these were sensations she would carry with her always. She returned home a changed woman, her heart filled with a newfound respect for the natural world and the creatures that inhabit it. The echoes of the jungle, the silent language of the wild, would forever resonate within her soul.